That was one of my favorite wins of the year. We've said that a lot this year, but that was like, man, it was fun. It was just a fun game. Let's talk about it. 646 BD4. Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. You are listening to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, MMA on occasion. Let's get to it.
Anthony for three. Bang! That one goes down, and the game is tied.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
The Yankees are champions of baseball.
Shaking and baking right here on the neophyte.
Trying to close the show.
She was doing a great job of feeding.
That is it.
It's over.
Coming up, so KP, don't you regret not coming to the Knicks? Don't you regret not coming to the Knicks?
Game over. World Series over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
All right. Let's go. Let's go. That one has me excited. Still has me excited. It's now the night after. It's Sunday night as I'm recording this, but I'm still just very excited, very hype over that win. The Knicks over the Kings. That had a playoff atmosphere to it. It had a playoff feel. It was just a very great, very exciting game. I was into it. It was, 10 to 1 p.m. a.m. over here on the East Coast in the middle of the night, smack in the middle of the night, and I'm down here watching the game in the studio, yelling. I got my espresso in my hand, and I'm screaming at the TV. I was so into this game, and it just felt good to win that. I don't want to call this game a test for the Knicks because it's a Western Conference team, but it was a good team, and it was a team that plays a completely different style of ball. I wanted to see how the Knicks matched up with that, and they did the damn thing. They picked up a great win, so a good win for the Knicks. I had a fun time watching it. You know what? I thought Monica McNutt, she's been on the call for a few games now. She's been doing a hell of a job. She's doing good, man. It sucks that Clyde's, starting to do less and less games. I hate when he's not in games, but Monica does a great job. So shout out to her. She brings a really good insight. I like a lot of the things she says. Yeah. I enjoyed that game, First quarter was competitive. The Knicks had some issues with Domantas Sabonis off the bat. But it's 22-21 Sacramento after one. Brunson gets red hot in the second. Dante DiVincenzo gets warm. The Knicks are locking down with some elite defense. And they go up 53-48 at halftime. Third quarter, Brunson's getting out in transition scoring. Sacramento gets a little bit of momentum when you have the Josh Hart flagrant foul. And then the De'Aaron Fox tech. It's 75-74 Knicks, so they pull within one at the end of the third. But then the fourth quarter, you get some big contributions from the two guys that we've been doing nothing as Knicks fans but criticizing since the trade. But Alec Burks and Bojan Bogdanovic with some big sequences in the fourth quarter. And then a lot of the starters, some big plays down the stretch. I mean, Isaiah Hartenstein finding Brunson backdoor. Isaiah Hartenstein with the post on Sabonis. He gets the M1 out of a floppy action. Huge play there. OG Anunoby gets a big stop in help. He rotates over, digs to force Sabonis to travel. Hell of a play by OG Anunoby. Not many wings can take that hit like that and still force the turnover. Then he gets a big block But you get the Brunson floater to put the Knicks up 5 points with like 30-something seconds left. And that was the play of the game that's kind of been going viral, where Brunson fake calls for the screen, and Ellis, young player mistake, takes his eyes off the ball handler. You cannot take your eye off the ball handler for a split second. He makes the mistake of doing that, looking for the screen to come, and that's where Brunson burnt him. He was off into the lane from there. You cannot miscommunicate like that. That's the big is always going to tell you when and where the screen is. And he looks away for a split second. Brunson turns on the Jets, and he goes to his right. He's in the lane, finishes with a floater left. And that was really it. The Knicks would pick up this win 98-91 over the Kings in Sacramento to now be 2-0 on the West Coast to start this 4-game trip. 3 in a row overall. Brunson finishes with 42 points, his second consecutive game doing so. Josh Hart, 13 rebounds, another multiple or double-figure rebound effort from Josh Hart. That's now 3 in a row where he's grabbed at least 13. On the other end, Sabonis had 21, Fox had 20, and Monk had 18 points. But there are so many things to really credit the Knicks for in this game, but I think the first thing I want to really talk about is just how, again, the Knicks played to their identity. So that's what we're going to bring up as soon as we get back from our first break here in episode 646 of the podcast. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hey there. Thanks for listening in so far. If you enjoy this episode, please give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks so much.
Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. The Knicks pick up a gritty win against the Kings last night, 98-91. Hell of a defensive performance. This was a game, like I said, where the Knicks played to their identity. This was 2024 New York Knicks, and 2024 New York Knicks is 1990s style New York Knicks. They bring that 90s Knicks style on both ends of the floor. Right? They play a very half-court style oriented offense. They run their offense very slow, isolation, get into the half court, very methodical. And then defensively, of course, they're very physical. They will beat you with metal bats. That's kind of become an infamous term Knicks fans are throwing out. And I thought they played to that exact style. Sacramento is a team who likes to play very fast. They're an up-tempo team. They play with a lot of pace, but the Knicks like to stay in mud, play a slower game. And that was the key heading in. You know, I wanted to see if the Knicks were going to be able to make it their game, and they did. The pace of this game was 96. So they played exactly the way you wanted them to. They took away Sacramento's transition game, so you didn't have opportunities where Sabonis was going downhill against a mismatch, and they really did a nice job eliminating that threat. And I just think as the league starts to, as officials start swallowing their whistles more and more down the stretch here as we get ready for the playoffs, these new physical rules, it's going to benefit the Knicks defensively for sure. It does frustrate us when Brunson doesn't get his calls, and there were moments last night where I'm like, what the hell is going on? But it allows the Knicks to play their defense to a T. These new set of rules might really, really benefit this team come the postseason. It's when I say benefit, they in a league where there are a lot of prima donna superstars. I don't know, man. They might not be getting their calls in the playoffs, and if the Knicks match up with the right teams, you know what I mean? It's looking very positive, the way the league is trending, and it just matches up with the way the Knicks play. That's now 5 consecutive games where the Knicks have held an opponent under 100 points. So they have that going for them right now. Their defense has just been phenomenal. De'Aaron Fox didn't do much last night. He was neutralized, 20 points on 19 shots. He shot 26%. He was 1 for 7 in the fourth quarter. Sabonis, who had 21 points on the night, turned it over 5 times. He missed, I think he was only 2 of 5 at the foul line. He was a minus 13, which was a game low, and he had 0 points in the fourth quarter. So I thought that was key, containing him the rest of the way, making sure Sabonis didn't hurt the Knicks the rest of the game. Again, he had a good first quarter, but they really kind of quieted him down from there. You got to credit Tom Thibodeau for recognizing that Precious Achiuwa was struggling early to guard Sabonis. You know, Precious had trouble keeping Sabonis off his left hand. And that's where you see the flaws with Precious at the 5, right? We talk about how great the offense looks with Precious at the 5 because of the better spacing on the floor, but he's going to match up with guys who are more physical, more crafty, and play that bully ball type style like a Domantas Sabonis does. And so Precious had issues with him. And so what Tom Thibodeau did was he adjusted by kind of matching Ihart's minutes with Sabonis to make sure Ihart was always on the floor when Domantas was. And that's you got to credit Tom Thibodeau for that. You know, I thought the Knicks schemed him very well. You know, it was mainly man-to-man single coverage on him, but the Knicks did occasionally load up help from his blind side. So they really did a nice job making sure he couldn't get downhill in a mismatch. He was always flustered because somebody was always coming from where he couldn't see, and I thought they limited those Sabonis DHOs. You know, Monica McNutt brought that up as a good point. Didn't really see him playmaking much. So the Knicks did a nice job locking him down. And Isaiah Hartenstein was really good against them. He's a strong defender himself. He's somebody who's also very physical. And again, at the end of the game, lowering his center of gravity there and just bullying his way to the hoop on the post, getting the N1. Clutch on both ends. Clutch on offense, clutch on defense. Him and OG Anunoby, big plays down the stretch, guarding Sabonis. And when those two are in the same, like that's a front court pairing right there that allows Tom Thibodeau to get very flexible with his lineups. Those other 3 slots, you can go with anything because you have 2 very good defensive front court players in Anunoby and Hartenstein. You can go size in those other 3 spots, defense, offense, speed. It allows Tibbs to get really, really creative, and that's what we're seeing lately, right? You can go Dante at wing. We've seen that more. You can go with that small ball lineup that Tibbs went with the first game back from the break against Philly. I don't know if it was the first game, but you can get creative with OG Anunoby here now. There are so many things you could do. But yeah, I thought the Knicks played really good defense. They kept Sabonis off the glass. A lot of guys, just good individual performances. Even Jalen Brunson, you know, who's not a great, quick defender. Obviously, he's not big, but he was doing a really job just being a pest. He was deterring drives as a low man, trying to draw charges, but if he didn't, he would slow down the drive, and he had very active hands in the pass lanes, deflections, steals, leading to transition opportunities. So I thought Brunson played with a very high IQ last night. OG Anunoby, of course, the defense off ball, in help, in rotation. just a really good Knicks basketball type of game last night. And again, this team is just the perfect Tom Thibodeau team. Bringing back those 90s, that 90s physicality. You know, Sacramento broadcasters, from what I hear last night, were really, really complaining about the Knicks' physicality, which I love hearing that. That's exactly what you want to hear. That Kings team is very soft, by the way. I want soft teams to be exposed because of how physical the Knicks play. I want the Knicks to play like this, and I want the league to complain. I want it to be controversial. Like, I want the Knicks bringing back that 90s controversial style of play. You know, Kevin Huerter, after the game, said the Knicks are probably the most physical team in the league. No, Kevin. They are. They are the most physical team in the league. We're better than you. That's the mindset that these Knicks have. We are better than you. We may not have more talent than you. We may not play the most exciting style of basketball, but we're better than you. We're going to win the game. And I love that because we are better than you. All of us. The Knicks fans, this team, we are so much better than you. And that's the mindset that all of us have right now. That's what's going to carry us this year. So there is a reason the Kings are called the Knicks of the West, and it's not the other way around, right? So light your little beam when you win games, but we'll be lighting up the fucking Empire State Building orange and blue. All right? Orange and blue. Ego trip there. Coming off a really fun win. But let's talk more when we return from another break here on BD4, episode 646. Maybe talk a little about the offense last night, now that we just touched on the defense. Stay with us. Be right back.
You can follow us on social media as well. On Instagram, we're at BD4Pod and at Rob J. Carbone. On X, we're at BD4Pod and at RJCBD4. And on Facebook, we're BD4.
All right. Welcome back to the show, episode 646 of the podcast. If you're watching the video form, I'm sorry, I'm in my Sunday attire. It's late. Going to bed soon. Yeah, man. The Knicks didn't have a great offensive night, obviously, but you're seeing key baskets come because of the way they're running offense. You know, the way they're able to space out more, and their playmaking has been great. You know, their off-ball movement, there's been an emphasis on that with OG back. Right? And again, last night, not a great offensive night, not a good offensive night in terms of the numbers. There were a lot of inconsistent contributions from their role players. You know, you didn't have great shooting nights from Hart, Dante. There was a lot of points in the game where there was just directionless east to west, as Clyde likes to say, offense. You know, Deuce McBride, I thought, had a very rough game. This was if there was ever a game that was to show you that Deuce McBride's not really a point guard, this was the game. The over-dribbling, extremely late in the shot clock, multiple times, where he was just dribbling around up top on the perimeter, couldn't even get the ball inside 30 feet. It was brutal watching Deuce McBride at points of this game, and it got to a point where I was like asking for Alec Burks to initiate offense, and they did down the stretch, and it looked much better. The Detroit guys were great. Burks and Bojan. The Nick Biggs, especially Isaiah Hartenstein in particular, was great. Jalen Brunson was obviously key to the offense last night with his 42 points. And that's listen, pick and roll last night was how they got their buckets. Mike Brown on Brunson pick and rolls started off by putting Sabonis in a drop, but Brunson was hurting him in the mid-range. So for the vast majority of the game, especially in the second half, he went with a blitz. Didn't really matter Fourth quarter comes, you got a few minutes there where he went back to putting Sabonis in drop. And that's when Brunson knocked down that 3-point dagger with less than 5 minutes left. But most of this game, Mike Brown had Sacramento blitzing. And I am fine with that too. Brunson's going to hurt you whether you drop, hedge, blitz, trap, help. It doesn't matter. But they were blitzing. They brought their big to the level, and that allowed the Knicks to go 4-on-3 in the back end. And because of that, they shot 55% on their twos. Brunson was hitting his outlets, whether it was hitting a shooter or the roll man. Dante or the Burks and Boyan knocking down shots. Or he's hitting Isaiah Hartenstein or Precious Achiuwa, finishing themselves or making a play off the roll. Handoffs, pick and roll, kickouts, cuts. Bigs were doing their job last night. Precious's roll gravity opened up a three-pointer for Alec Burks early in the game. It's simple things like that. And Isaiah Hartenstein, again, we talk about this so much, his ability to space out the paint because he's a good playmaker at the top of the key. He's not just going to stand in the dunker spot. Isaiah Hartenstein is a passing hub up top. And that unlocks a different level to the Knicks when they can run offense through their big like that. Because you have that, and you've got your guards cutting off ball, right? Isaiah Hartenstein had a very key find in the middle of the fourth quarter to Brunson, where OG Anunoby is off ball. He makes a 45 cut to space out the low paint for Brunson to cut and finish. Isaiah Hartenstein finds Brunson. Brunson finishes, and that's because OG's cut took out that defender. Just smart offense. And then you got the Detroit guys, Burks and Boyan, spacing out the perimeter. They were knocking down some good shots last night. Not just threes, but jumpers. And they've been good. They were good. They haven't been good. They were good last night. And they were a very pivotal role. They played a very pivotal role in last night's win, right? They were very pivotal to the turning point in this game. Sure, they had some decent first half moments, but they were key in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter. You had that one sequence where this was in the opening minutes of the fourth quarter. The Knicks were down 4 points or 5 points, but then they go on this 9-0 run with Deuce, Hart, Precious, and them two, Burks and Boyan. Precious turns it over up top. He chases down Ellis, gets a big stop. Boyan gets the rebound. The next time down for Sacramento, Boyan gets a big stop on De'Aaron Fox. Precious grabs the rebound, and then Boyan knocks down a three on the other end. Burks had some moments where he knocks down a pull-up jumper. He got to the foul line, knocked both of them down late. Isaiah Hartenstein checks in, and then Boyan finishes a reverse layup off of DHO with he and Ihart. They were key. I liked the game from Boyan last night. I thought he was getting downhill, getting to the basket. He was coming off screens. You had Deuce McBride setting off-ball screens for him to cut off of. They got him in some pick and rolls. That's what you want to see. In some Chicago actions a few times. Boyan had a good game, and they continue to involve him in offense. Alec Burks, again, with Deuce McBride having a very bad game. Whenever Brunson sat, the Knicks needed someone to score offense in isolation and to give you offense in pick and roll. And I thought Burks was key. He was attacking Sabonis in pick and roll in the fourth quarter. Pull-up jumpers. He had a couple spot-ups early on, but he did a nice job on the ball. So you gotta give the guy credit. And each of them were rewarded with extra playing time last night. Right? Boyan got 24 minutes and Burks got 18 minutes. They both got extended run in that second quarter, more than Tibbs usually gives them. And then they got the important minutes of the fourth quarter with the starters there. So I thought they were great. Their defense, I thought, was even adequate. There was one stand defensively where Boyan did a really nice job holding down one of their guards. I was kind of impressed with it, but Yeah, in their minutes together, the Detroit guys, the Knicks were at plus 13. So there's that. All right. Let's hand out our game balls. Let's do that as soon as we return from our third break here on episode 646 of BD4. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
If you're interested in our website, just go to www.bd4blog.com. You can subscribe to our blog on there right on the front page. Just like on the podcast, we cover Yankees, Knicks, and MMA. Also on our website are the links to the different platforms for the podcast. Thanks so much.
All right. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to BD4, episode 646. The Knicks win a gritty game versus the Kings, 98-91. Going to hand out our game balls. The first one's going to, obviously, Jalen Brunson.
Bing bang.
I mean, we practically said everything we needed to. 42 points last night. 42 more points. 17 of 28 shooting. 5 for 10 from 3, which means 12 of 18 from 2. That's 67%. He was 3 for 4 at the foul line. He had 4 steals and a block. So there's your good defense right there that we were talking about. That's now 28 game balls on the season for Brunson, the most on the Knicks by a mile. But yeah, I mean, we basically said it. The guy had a hell of a game. He bitched around Davion Mitchell. He bitched around Domantas Sabonis on pick and roll. Just continues to score the ball at an incredible rate. I was listening to watching NBA TV a little bit after the game, and they were actually giving the damn kid some respect. You had Greg Anthony giving his respect, and I forget who the other guy was. I don't think it was Isaiah Thomas, but somebody was praising Brunson, talking about how he should make an All-NBA team, which is that's not a yes or no thing anymore. It's a what team is he going to make? You know, is he going to make the second or third team? At this point, he's making an NBA team. I think he's in the conversation for MVP. I mean, this is a guy who is having. Listen, he was 12th in the voting last year. He's having a much better season this year. He's got better numbers. He's had to deal with all these injuries, and he's carried the Knicks to a number 4 seed, possibly higher. He's had a number of special, very historic performances. The 50-point game on 9 of 9. Like, I would have him in my top 5. He probably just gets in at 5 at the moment. I could, talk about it longer, but the guy deserves respect. I think he's the best point guard in the Eastern Conference. I think Tyrese is a little bit overrated in that aspect, especially when you include the last couple months since he's returned from the injury. Tyrese hasn't looked the same. Brunson's on a much better team, and it's because of him. He is the best point guard in the East. It's time people give this kid some fucking respect. If you're some clown on ESPN calling him 1B, then probably watch the Knicks a little bit more. If you're some clown on TNT saying the same thing, probably watch the Knicks a little bit more. And I'm pretty sure any Knicks fan knows exactly the two females that I'm talking about here. But yeah, Brunson's unbelievable. Therefore, he gets the game ball once again because he's a superstar type player. Off the bench, I'm going to give it to Alec Burks, man. I thought Burks was good. 12 points, 3 boards, 2 assists, no turnovers, 18 minutes played. He was a plus 13 to lead the game, so good for him. 2 game balls now with the Knicks. We, again, said really everything we had to say on Burks earlier. It's nice to see him finally put together a good game. And for both of these guys, if they can both get going from here on out, you never know, man. Maybe they do find minutes in the playoffs, right? Maybe Burks does have some role. Maybe Boyan does have a role. There's still 15 games left, so we'll see. But that's what I want to segue into, is that we're getting close to the end, folks. We are getting close to the end, and the New York Knicks have a very big opportunity to do some damage here on the horizon. With 3 wins in a row now, the first time they've done that since late January, early February. Picking up their 40th win on the season, 15-2 with OG playing, 8-2 against above 500 teams with OG. You look up and you see the Knicks with a real shot to take third. The Houston Rockets defeated the Cleveland Cavaliers last night. All right. And Cleveland is dealing with injuries of their own. Donovan Mitchell's ankle seems to be a concern with them. The Knicks have the tiebreaker between those two teams. And you look at Cleveland's schedule ahead. It is not an easy schedule for them. It's not an easy schedule. So they're creeping up there. They're just 2 games back of them. And behind the Knicks, Philly and Indiana won last night. Miami defeated Detroit earlier today. And Orlando's in the middle of a game against the Raptors as I speak. And they're 1 up from Orlando, who have the 5 seed, which is your current matchup right now between the Knicks and the Magic. The Knicks will be home for that series, and the Magic would be at the moment away. They are 2.5 up from Indiana, who have the 6th seed. That's a potential matchup if the Knicks do jump Cleveland for 3. And then if you look at both the play-in seeds, 7 and 8, the Knicks are 3 from both Miami and Philly. So I mention all this because the Knicks have a chance coming up. Now they have 2 more games out west against Golden State and Denver. Those are going to be tough. You would like to at least split those 2 games, at least. But after that, when you come back home to New York, you're at Barclays against the Nets. Then you have Detroit. Then you have Toronto. And then you have San Antonio. 1, 2, 3, 4 games right there towards the end of the month that do the Knicks have who they have right now, even if Randall's not back by then, could be free wins if they just do what they're supposed to do. Those are 4 is a lot. 4 is a lot of games. So that's a big opportunity for them. And I would think Randall's probably going to be held out because of those are such easy opponents. They're probably just going to hold him back until April something at this point. Maybe until playoffs. I would like for him to get some games under his belt, though, because there are 15 games left. You know, I believe I said a few episodes ago, it'd be nice to get everybody back before there are less than 10 games left so they can get their feet wet and have room for error to get going. But yeah, there are 15 games left, and the Knicks are looking good. A couple weeks ago, I was so down on everything. But again, the Knicks just find a way to tread water at their worst. Right? They're now back into form, and things look up. So, with that said, let's get to our final break, and then we're going to wrap this shit up with our trivia. Stay with us. Be right back. Studio 69 Productions is a podcast production agency created by Leo Rodriguez to allow content creators to market their podcast. It's an online platform that will market your podcast or any other project that you're working on. Get in touch with Leo Rodriguez from Studio 69 Productions. You can find Studio 69 Productions on Instagram at Studio69NJ. Studio 69 Productions, where dreams are heard and born.
Thanks for listening to BD4, where there is no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA, Yanks every series, Knicks every game, and MMA on occasion.
All right. Welcome back to the show. Episode 646 of BD4. Let's wrap this thing up with our trivia. Okay, this trivia question, if you paid attention to the game, after the game they mentioned it, if you were on social media, this was flying around, this stat on there, so you probably know the answer to this if you were paying attention a little bit. Jalen Brunson just became the fourth Knick to score at least 40 points in consecutive games. Who are the other three? All right. Jalen Brunson just became the fourth Knick to score at least 40 points in consecutive games. Who are the other three? So let me know the answer wherever you can reach me. If you get the answer correct, I'll give you a shout out in the next episode. In front of all two of our listeners, and thank you to both of you. Or maybe there's three of you. Maybe there's four of you. That'd be a record. I did have that one episode where we blew up for a night where we criticized Tom Thibodeau for sitting quickly down the stretch for size. I'm never going to forget that. I got like 2,500, 3,000 views on the YouTube edit for that. So got some people coming at Tibbs in the comments. So I'm always going to be thankful for the subscribers that I gained overnight for that episode too. But we're kind of back down to low numbers, but hey, I don't care. I do this as a hobby. Thank you for tuning in, though. I appreciate it. The Knicks win again. And 6:47, we'll probably talk some. I'm going to try. Keep saying I'm going to try, but I'm going to try to get another Yankees episode in. We just had one, episode 645, if you want to check that out. We talk Yankees, but maybe we'll get some more Yankees talk in 647. But as for 646, we just did Knicks Kings, and I hope you enjoyed it. So with that said, I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next show. Later. This episode was brought to you by Anchor.
Hey there! If you stayed the entire way through, we thank you immensely for it. We hope you enjoyed this podcast and that you come back for the next episode real soon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, download these episodes, and share them with your friends as well. BD4 is a 5-star podcast simply because of you. And we'd like to keep it that way. Have a wonderful day. Go Yankees and go Knicks!